Okay, let's try and cross live now to our Washington correspondent Gayane Chichakyan to discuss the US President's public address on combating Islamic State. Gayane, can you highlight for us the main points of Obama's address?
Yes, the president said the U.S. will expand the airstrikes against ISIS in Iraq. He has the permission of the Iraqi government, as we know, which U.S. officials always underscore because it gives the U.S. president all the legal rights to carry out the strikes. That is not the case with Syria. President Obama said he will not, quote, that's a quote, he will not hesitate to take action against ISIL in Syria. And he mentioned this in the step one of his strategy. Now, the Syrian government has said that it would welcome international efforts to combat ISIS in Syria, but only if the efforts are coordinated with the Syrian government. There was little regard for that in the president's speech. In the view of the Obama administration, there is no need for President Assad's permission because the U.S. does not see him as the legitimate leader of Syria. Now, whom the U.S. does see as the legitimate force in Syria is the opposition. And as a second step of his strategy against ISIS, President Obama spoke about supporting the Syrian rebels so that they can fight the jihadists to also fight Syria's Bashar al-Assad. He called for Congress to pass a bill that would authorize the U.S. government to spend $500 million to train and to arm Syrian rebels. Until now, the bill has somewhat languished in Congress amid concerns that extremists, the likes of ISIS and al-Nusra, may well benefit from the weapons sent to the rebels and the training. There have been numerous reports of rebel fighters switching factions, weapons provided by U.S. allies ending up in extremists' hands. Some ISIS militants openly bragging that they had been trained by Western personnel in Turkey or Libya. The Obama administration has kept saying that they have vetted who is moderate opposition in Syria and who's not, and that they're helping only the moderates. But then we see reports suggesting that rebels' ranks are a lot more fluid. The family spokesman, for example, the family spokesman of Steven Sotloff, the American journalist who was beheaded by ISIS recently, has told CNN that, quote unquote, moderate militants who kidnapped him in Syria sold him to the Islamic State group for, he said, something between $25,000 and $50,000. But U.S. officials seem to see Syria's moderate opposition as a solid force who is going to help fight ISIS. Now, the question that many people are going to ask after this speech is whether the U.S. is trying to kill two birds with one stone here. That is, to fight ISIS in Syria and to undermine the Syrian government. Much depends on how the operations are carried out. If they involve the large-scale training and arming of the rebel forces that the administration wants, then the rebels are sure to be using it not just to fight the jihadists among themselves, but to fight the Assad government as well.
Gayane Chichakyan speaking to us from Washington, D.C. Thank you for the update.